Okay, good evening, everyone. As we learn the Mishna Yomis for this Wednesday evening, where the Chumash was already given, the for the Shabbos table is already on TorahAnytime.com, already on YouTube, thanks to both Shiurim, thanks to the wonderful Rubin family. And now we are up to Mishnah Gimel, in the second parak, sponsored by the Fisher family, Nishmas Bas Bas Rabbi Shalom Ben Avram Alevi, Pero Bas Ruven. We also dedicated Nishmas Matzio Chaim Ben Yaakov, Lefu Shalem Afel Yomish Ben Chayesar, for Avram Yom Ben Ishmael Yudis and family, for Yo Klugman and family, and also for Meir Ben Chayesar. Yesh Neder B'Seich Neder. There could be a Neder within a Neder, and that is if a person says, I'm a Nazir. Nazir is also a neder. Ishki Yidor neder, Lindor neder, Nazir lahazir laHashem. A person could say Hareini Nazir Hayoim, and he says Hareini Nazir Emoichala. I'm a Nazir if I eat dessert. I'm a Nazir if I eat dessert, and he eats dessert. He has to keep 2 terms of Naziris. Stam Naziris is 30 days, so he has to keep 2 terms of Naziris. So therefore, Yesh Neder B'Seich Neder, a Neder can take effect within a Neder. Ve'ein Shvur B'Seich Shvur, but one Shvur cannot take effect within a Shvur. Ketzad Amar Hareini Nazir Moichel, I'm a Nazir if I eat dessert. Hareini Nazir Moichel, I'm a Nazir if I eat dessert. Va'achal, and eats dessert. Chayiv al kol achas v'achas. He has to bring 2, he has to keep 2 terms of Naziris, 30 days, bring his 3 korbanos, do his shaving, and then another 30 days, and bring his korbanos. But if he says, Shvur shaloi eichel, I swear I won't have dessert, I swear I won't have this dessert, the achal, ein achayv el achas, he only gets 1 malchus, because ein shvur chal al shvur. A shvur cannot be chal on a shvur. However, it is an abeyance. And if he's matter the first shvua, then the second shvua would be chal. Now we already learned this rule, stam nedarim la'achmir, that if you say an ambiguous statement, we go l'chumra and we treat it stringently. However, if he gives an explanation that he meant it in the lenient way, uperusham lahakel. If the one who said it says that I meant it in the lenient way, then we go leniently. Ketzad, Amar Hari like if he says like salted meat, kiyayin nesach, like wine poured. So imshel shemayim nader. If he said I meant salted meat, a carbon, I'll call carbon chatak melech. A carbon is an acceptable usage of atfasa. Or he said like wine poured on the mizbeach, then it's a binding neder. Im shel avodah zara neder, but if he said I meant like salted meat for avodah zara, or wine poured libation to avodah zara, which is a dover or usser, and that's not a good formula for a neder, mutter. V'im stam, but if he says without explanation, then we say stam nedarim la'achmir, and it's a binding. Hariyalai kecherim. Now there's 2 types of cherim. There's cherim bedekabayis, where it's dedicated to temple maintenance, and that is a good davar hanoder, that is a good means of atfasa. Or there's chermei kohanim, where it goes to the kohanim, and that's not a davar hanoder. So im kecherim shel shemayim, if he said like the cherim of bedekabayis to temple maintenance, then also, and it's a good neder. V'im kecherim shel kohanim, if he says like the chermei kohanim, which is not a davar hanoder, then it's mutter. V'im stam, if he leaves it without explanation, we say stam nedarim la'achmer, it's also. Hariya like kemaisa, like tithes. Im kemaisa behema nadar, if he says like maisa behema. Now, by maisa behema, when you have 10 animals in the corral, they're all mutter. And when you leave them out through the narrow door, and you declare the 10th one, Maisa Behema, that's when it becomes Asa. So it is created by your mouth, and therefore it's considered a Davar Another, and therefore Asa, the Neder would be binding. Vim Shel Gairin, but if he means the Meiser of grain, now the Meiser of grain, the grain is Asa beforehand. It's Tevel, it's Tovloi, it's no good. The Meiser causes the rest to be permitted, but that means that the Issa was there from before, and therefore it's not a Davar Another, it's a Davar Aser. in kemaisa behema nader aser. Im shel geirin, which is a davar aser, and not a davar hanader. Then it's mutter. Then the item is mutter. Vim stam, but again, if it's ambiguous, he doesn't give an explanation. We say stam nedarim lahachmer, and it refers to ma'aser behema, and it would be a good atfasa, and it would be aser. Similarly, how are you like a truma? If he says it should be like truma, the same thing. Im ketruma salishka. If it's like when we go in to the kafirs in the Beis Hamikdash and remove the coins from the shayfaras, from the kafirs to use for the karbanas sibur, and those coins were dedicated by the Machzah Shekel, which people declare hektish, so it's a human-made iser, then also that's a good atfasa, it's a good neder, and it's also vim shel geirim. But if it's truma from the pile, which again, all of the grain is aser, and therefore it had an iser before he declared it truma, then that's not a man-made created iser, and then that's not a good method of making a neder, and it's mutter. Vim stam, and if he says it without explanation, also because of stam nedarim lahachmer divrei meir. Rabbi Yehuda says, stam truma b'Yehuda asura. In Yehuda, we say that since in Yehuda, which was close to the Beis Hamikdash, they were familiar with the trumas halishka, so therefore there's the choice whether it means truma of the lishka or truma of the grain, and we say stam nedarim lahachmer, it's also. But begalil in the Galil, which is far from the Beis Hamikdash, and they're not accustomed to the trumas halishka, so stam truma means truma of the grain, which is not a davar another, but a davar aser. Then muteris, then the item is mutter. She'ein anshe galil, then makirin es trumas halishka. They're not familiar with the truma that's taken from the kafirs, the shayfarais in the Beis Hamikdash to use for the communal karbanas. So when they say truma, it stam means truma of grain. Truma of grain is not considered a man-made iser because the grain is prohibited from the get-go as tevel, and therefore it's not considered something that a human creates, and therefore it's not good to create a neder, and therefore the item will be mutter. Stam charamim b'Yehuda mutarim, regular chayrim, an ambiguous chayrim in Yehuda is mutter, because over there they're not familiar with chermei bedek habayis. However, stam charamim b'Yehuda mutarim, a general chayrim in Yehuda is mutter because, Stam charamim b'Yehuda mutar, a ambiguous chayrim in Yehuda is mutter, because this Tana holds that stam nedarim we say are mutter. It's different than the opinion of the Reisha. He holds that it's the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Tzadok, who says stam nedarim are mutarim. So in Yehuda, where a chayrim could either be chermei bedek habayis, which would be aser, or chermei kahanim, which would be mutter, we say it's mutter. However, about golol asurim, but in golol it's aser because in golol they're not familiar with chermei kahanim, with charamim that are given to Kahanim. They're only familiar with chermei bedek habayis, with a chayrim to temple maintenance, which is a davar another, and therefore in Galul it's aser. She'ein anshe Galul makirin es chermei Kahanim. They're not familiar with the more lenient chayrim of chermei Kahanim, which would not be a davar another. Wow! Tonight, everything that we did was difficult. Was the Mishnah able to be heard? Yeah? Okay. So again, remember, tomorrow night we're back at 8 o'clock. Motzi Shabbos at 7:30. And Michal Avram, thank you for setting us up and making it possible. And have a good evening, everyone.